Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something super useful for your 3D printing projects. Adding text to your models with Creality Print 6. Now if you're selling your prints through an online shop like say Etsy or Shopify, then you already know that personalized items are big sellers. Whether you're designing custom keychains, personalized gifts, or you just want to add some flair to your projects, this feature can really level up your prints. But before we jump right into it, I want to thank PCBWay.com for sponsoring this video. PCBWay.com is known for high quality PCBs and assemblies, but did you know that they also offer a wide range of maker services like CNC cutting and 3D printing? Just upload your design, select from your choice of materials, and click submit. Be sure to check out their 11th annual badge design contest to win your share of prizes. Prototype the easy way with PCBWay. Okay, so I have a simple little model loaded up here on my bed plate. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to demonstrate one of the most common mistakes made when people are starting with text. And they'll have their model and they'll come up here, they'll click on the emboss tool, which is the correct tool, by the way. And we'll type in whatever we want our text to say. And that's it. There's no OK button or anything. They start clicking. And okay, well, there's nothing there. You can see where it's going to be, where these little white lines are. It shows up more if you slice. There you can see it. It's actually on the bottom of our model. Let's go back to prepare real quick. And I'm going to drag that off to the side. So they're wondering, why is my text laying on the bed plate? It did not give me a chance to go ahead and pick a surface or anything. Let's do this again, and I'll show you the right way to do this. Okay, now, what we're going to do is, before we select the emboss or text tool, we're going to click on our model. But before I click on my model, I want you to take a look up here in the toolbar real quick. And you'll notice that most of them are disabled. Yeah, that's because we don't have an active model. I'm going to make the model active. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And you'll notice how all these other icons came to life. But now with our toolbar, or our model selected, let's go up and select the emboss tool or the text tool. You could also type the letter T, text, and that will make this pop up. And right away you can see we're on the top surface. Let's go ahead and we'll change the text here again, just like before. Plastic. And while we're here, you can see all these other things we can change. Got our selection of fonts. Something here. Our height. Change that. And change that just by typing 6. There we go. We can change the depth, which in this case is actually the height. And the reason it's the height is because it's down here on the bottom where it's set to join, not cut. If I go cut, it just looks like it's flat there. But when we slice it, it'll be actually engraved inside. Let's put that back to join and set this back to 1. And that's all there is to it. So then once you have, you can change your angle real quick while you're there. But we'll get into all this stuff in a few minutes. Go ahead and click outside of the print box, or anywhere on your bed plate. And there you go. Now, if you're having a hard time seeing this, like right there, one of the things you can do, whether you have a multi-color printer or not, because you can change this back later. Come up here into the filament area and just click the little plus sign that's in the circle. Click that. I'm going to change it to black. Hit OK. So now what I'm going to do is under in the process area where it says global or objects, let's change that to objects just by clicking on the word objects. And you'll see over here on the left side of the screen, we have a cube with an eyeball next to it. That's our main assembly. Then we have cube. and it says pushing plastic. Well, the second cube there, word cube, pushing plastic are the two parts to make up our assembly. So just right click on pushing plastic, change the filament type, and I'm going to set to black. And then that way I can actually see what's going on. If I came up here and I delete the black out by hitting the minus sign, it just sends it back over to the orange. So what you want to do, if you're going to work this way, just remember to set it back. Just a tip for you. I'm going to leave it turned on this way just for the purpose of this video. Now, another thing you can do while you're here is right click on the word pushing plastic and hit edit text, and it'll bring up all your options. Maybe you want to change that to model, or bold, and you decided you want to change the font style to Gothic G, and maybe change the height back to 9. But there's all kinds of stuff you can do with this. But we'll get into all this as we go along. But for now, I just wanted to demonstrate the way to get the text showing on the surface. And that's how you do it. Okay, so let's look at what we can do with some of the advanced features of the text tool. Let's go ahead and click the model, and then click on our text tool, emboss tool. The first thing I'm going to do is change the font. It's something that has a little bit of substance to it. I want to be able to see this. So there is a little scroll bar on the side. It's hard to see, hard to grab onto, but it is there. Change it to Anton 12. Okay. I'm going to change the font color again. Go to Objects, right click on the embossed text, change the filament to the black. There we go. We can see what's going on now. So let's right click on, you can either click on it, right click over here. You can right click on it on the model and get back to the edit text. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click on the word advanced. And the first two I'm going to skip over just for now. We'll come back to them. Use surface and per glyph. We'll come back to those. The next one is the alignment. Currently I'm set for center middle, which means I'm centered from left to right, and it's the middle vertically, top to bottom. So just like in Word or any other program, got our left justification, our right justification, up, bottom. I like middle and center myself. So I'm going to leave it there. And the first one we'll look at is the character gap. Now, right now we're looking at our word, embossed text. And if I change that to something, we're looking at points. So let's go with 50 to make it large. You can't see a whole lot go on there. But when I change it to 500, you'll notice the spacing between each letter. It grew up pretty good. I can set that back to 0 simply by clicking on the reset tool. The circle, 3/4 circle with an arrowhead on it, puts me back where I was. Now the line gap, you can pretty much guess what it's going to do, but let's go through it anyways. I need a second line of text, so I'll just type in line 2. And with that, that doesn't change real far either because, again, it's points. So you're not seeing a whole lot. Now I'll change it to 100, and you're not seeing a lot. When I go 1,000, there you can see some. It's just, or that's actually 10,000. It's the spacing between each line of text. So if you have to open that up a little bit, that's one way of doing it, depending on what your needs are. Not a big deal there. Now, boldness. Personally, I like to take care of my boldness up here by just clicking on bold or not. This one allows you to change that. But the first thing it'll do is if I change it to anything, it's going to give me a little exclamation point up here, and you'll notice my bold is turned on here. What the arrow is telling us is that the text input does not show font boldness. So that would be this stuff up here. It's warning you, you won't see the boldness in. Coming back down here to our boldness box, change it to 100. You're not seeing much of a change. 1,000, you start to see, well, it kind of swallows itself. You get to 10,000 and it's a blob. So I usually Don't mess with that too much. The skew. If I change that to say 0.5, you see how it leaned it over towards the right? If I change that to a minus 0.5, it leans it over to the left. This is one of those things that a little goes a long way. If I change it to 1, well, you can barely read it. Go to 10, you're definitely not reading it. So use that one, knowing that, like I said, a little goes a long way. You can sit there forever clicking away on this. You know a number that you want to start with, it'll get you to where you want to be quicker. From surface. Now this one, kind of weird. You see where we're sitting right on the surface right now. If I change that, say, to 10, well, now we're 10 millimeters above the surface. Not a big use for that. Now, I don't have a big use for it. Doesn't mean there isn't one. Don't get me wrong. Rotation, you can pretty much get an idea on what's going to happen there. If I type in 45, well, now we're at a 45-degree angle with our text. I could go ahead and use the rotation tool to change this as well. And you notice that as I changed it back to 0, it changed it here in the dialog for me. Now, real quick, before I get to the next one, let me take this line 2 out, just because it's easier to demonstrate. I'm going to change this to an angle right now. Okay. So when we come to this box that says set text to face camera, that means face you. So I'm going to click on that. There it is. It's no longer square. I can move that. Notice how it wants to hug the surface now. That's pretty cool. From here, if I change it again, you see how it changed it. But if you want to move it, get it right on the surface. There you go. Oh, it's right on the front. That's a quick way to move your text around too. That's all there is to it. So let's look at the join, cut, and we're not going to look at the modifier. The modifier, there's a lot of modifiers built in. I did a whole video on modifiers. I just can't think of a time when I would want to use text as a modifier, like a negative part. Well, that's going to do the same thing as cut. A positive part, it's going to do the same thing as join. So let's just take a look at join and cut real quick. So here's join. When we slice it, you can see how it's joined to the model. Back to prepare. Edit our text. Change it to cut. Get the ghost-like image. We'll slice it. And you can see how it engraves it in. Another thing we can do real quick with that. Back to prepare. At the text, I'm going to change this 3, just for impact, that's all. And slice. And you can see how it went in 3 millimeters. That's the difference between join and cut. Put it back to join. The text style. As you're playing around with these things, you can actually save the text style if you want. I never save them. I'll be honest about it. I usually save it with the model, but I don't save it in general. Okay, let's go ahead and change our model real quick and look at the last things I want to show you. Okay, so you can see I changed up the model a little bit. Let's go ahead, same principles as before though. Click the model, then click on the text tool. And as always, I know I waste a lot of time with this, but I can't stand that font for a little bit bigger, go with 12. Okay, so we have some embossed text on there. Go ahead. First thing I'm going to do is go to Objects. I'm going to change the color so we can watch what's going on. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to edit our text. There it is. Wasn't coming up at first. Okay, so we have our text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Use Surface. What it does when I click that, you see how it wrapped itself around? That's pretty cool. But you'll notice that it's starting to kind of mess with the font a little. That even gets worse if you get into bigger fonts. See what it's doing over here on the side? Over here. To be honest, that's even ridiculously sized. More manageable. Okay, there you can see what's going on. All right, so that would be in use surface. So if I had a cylinder instead of a cone, that would actually work out pretty good. But another thing you can do, text, let's turn off the surface and use per glyph. And you see how our text stayed the way it should. And we also have this white band around it. If I grab it properly, actually, down. There you go. But you see, you can go too far into it, but it's going to let loose, come back out for you. So I actually use per glyph more than I use the surface. Now you could actually use both of them, and you don't get a big change. You can see where it's straightened out the T there after, it still curves out a little bit, but when I have them both, it does straighten them both out a little bit. And let's slice this. And there you can see it's working just as expected. Now, go back to prepare, and we're going to do a cut. Go to slice, and you can see how it embossed it. So that's really all there is to it. Comes back to the go shape. Personally, I'm impressed with what you can do with this tool. And that's it. Whether you're making fun designs, personalized gifts, or something special, this feature will open up a whole world of possibilities. If you found this tutorial helpful, be sure to hit that like button and tell me about it in the comments. Smash that bell so you'll be alerted to new tips in the future. Live your life one layer at a time, and if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe. I'll see you next time on Pushing Plastic.